Welcome back into Arvis Ballpark. I'm the Naturals radio broadcaster, Sean Mernon, and today we're joined by Carter Jensen, a Kansas City boy who played here in Northwest Arkansas this season at Arvis Ballpark. And, he's up there now. He's had a pretty cool experience this offseason, and he had a really good season. Carter, thanks for taking some time to join us and, talk a little bit about what happened and maybe what's going to happen here headed into 2025.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. You kind of came up later in the year to Double A. You had a pretty good start down in Quad Cities, and initially you got off to a hot start with some extra base. A lot of your hits were extra base hits to get things started, but the power sort of really came at the end of the season. You came a little bit short of your personal goal for long balls this year, and this is at times a difficult league to hit home runs in. But for you, I mean, how do you assess how the season went, and if you could talk a little bit about that run at the end of the year too? I mean, that was pretty special.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes down to it, you always just want to go out there and you want to put out your best game. You want to play to the best of your ability. That's what I try to do every night, every game. Obviously, there's slowed down a little bit after I got up to Double A, kind of just to I guess get used to the league, get used to the new pitching because it's a lot different. It's a lot more advanced. But I think as I kind of warmed up and got used to it, that's when I guess the last month or so of the season, I really kind of just took off. My main goal is just stay within myself and just control what I can control, swing at good pitches, and trust Nelly and Rochi in my work, and just to continue to get better, work on things I need to work on, and just let the game come to me, let the pitches come to me. Don't press too much. That was the biggest goal for me. But overall in the season, like you said, the home run goal is a tad bit short, but I mean, if I had seven more than any season in the past, so I'm definitely happy with it. I'll take it, and just going into next year, just going to roll with that and try not to chase numbers too much because that's when it kind of gets to a little bit of a weird spot, and you start chasing numbers and you're like, oh, I got to get this many hits in this many games. So try not to think about that. Just let the game come to me, like I said.
Obviously, 18 home runs, by the way, on the season is nothing to sneeze at. That's a pretty good total, especially for being just 21 years old at the time. So, you talked about the jump from going from the Midwest League, which is the high A league, to Double A. But I've been around a little bit, and fans, they're lucky enough that they sort of have all these affiliates in a relatively good grouping where you're able to go see some of the other teams. But you have a unique perspective. You squat behind the plate and stand next to it when you're hitting. I mean, what is that jump like in your eyes? I mean, what is the biggest difference?
I think the biggest difference for me personally was I've been in Quad Cities for a year and a half at the point, and I just been super comfortable. We had pretty much almost the same coaching staff there, so it was just something that I was very comfortable there. Going out there, my mentality was um, like that. I've been there. I'm like I'd like to think I like to have the confidence that I'm the best player in that league, even if it may not be true. It's just my confidence, and going out there with that kind of confidence, I mean, you get an extra little edge. So coming up to Double A, feeling it out a little bit. The pitchers are definitely a lot better when they make that jump, as you can tell. But I mean, really, I I gave it too much credit at the beginning. I think that I came up and it was a little bit like I just gave the pitchers too much credit. I was like, oh, they're in Double A, they're a little bit better, they're gonna hit their spots a little bit better. But then I thought about it, I'm like, well, I'm in Double A too. I'm a hitter. Like I should be able to hit these pitches. I'm here for a reason and all that stuff. So I think the jump mainly for me was I needed to remember that it's the same game. It's the same goal. And at the end of the day, like I just have to go out there and I have to, like I said earlier, control what I can control and trust in my ability, trust that I'm in Double A for a reason, and that the organization trusted me to be up there. So, um, I mean, just going into the future, especially when you get to the big leagues, I've had conversations. Is just you have to go out there. You can't give pitchers credit. You can't blame things on the umpire. You have to take care of your business and your business only. So
I think it's great that you mentioned our hitting coach Andy LaRoche, and then the assistant hitting coach Chris Nelson. It was Nelly's second time here. He was here in 2018. Andy has been here for 2 years. Being able to move up and work with those two guys, who, by the way, had some pretty good big league careers. For you, what was some of the big takeaways that you were able to get from them and their experience?
Yeah, I mean, just it's always a blessing whenever you have guys that are coaching you that have been through it, that know how it goes and have gone through the minor leagues, made it up to the big leagues, and they know both sides of the story. They know the struggles and they know the success stories. So um, it's definitely people that they can relate to you. They can relate to what you're feeling, what you're going through, and Nelly. This was my third year with Nelly. And I mean, he's definitely been really big in my developmental stages because he's somebody that he just relate to, and he's a very personable guy. Like you can relate to him, you can talk to him about anything, no matter if it's baseball or not. So being able to lean on him and Rochi especially, just because I had gotten pretty close to Rochi during spring training and talking about, oh, I want to get to Double A, work with you. He's definitely been awesome as well. He has open ears when it comes to hitting. He gives his advice, and it's a collaborative work instead of just kind of tell me, oh, I need to do this, you need to do that. We work together on a lot of things, and then um, I mean, they'll come in for early cages, whatever we need. They're like the player's coach. So they understand what we need, and they're always there for us. And it's been awesome working with both of them.
It's really cool seeing Nelly and Rochi work together, because those are two guys that, I mean, they will move heaven and earth to find a way to get you even just a fraction of a percent better, every single day. And to see how much work they put in and the relationships they build with you guys is, like you were talking about, really special. You got to carry that relationship with Rochi into the Arizona Fall League this year. Before you were a minor leaguer, there used to be all-star games in every league. And so you really got to see how you matched up against the very best in the league. Now you go to the fall league, which is all the top prospects and some of the rising stars of minor league baseball, and you get the added benefit of having Rochi there by your side, right?
Yeah, it was definitely awesome having him there. Definitely a familiar face, and when it comes to hitting's tough in that league. Those pitchers are really good, so having him by my side to go through game plans and to go through my work with me was awesome.
Just as a whole, that league, I mean, what was that experience like for you? Because obviously it's out in Arizona, you're familiar with some of the facilities and things, but like you mentioned, this is the rising stars in minor league baseball. This is some of the best of the best, the guys that had great seasons or maybe really popped at the end of the year. I mean, what was that experience like for you to be able to go out there and face all those guys and be around them all day?
Oh, it was really cool. From the guys on our team to guys on the other team. You know, Being around those guys of that level, it's definitely a lot of fun because it's going to be good baseball being played. You're going to be able to learn a lot, especially with guys on my team. Like I had known a couple of guys already, but meeting a lot of new people, new players, and just kind of bouncing ideas, learning from their experiences through the minor leagues to mine, and playing against like really high competition every day. It's no joke, and you can't be caught sleeping because it'll eat you alive, and you'll have a rough game, and there's a lot of people watching there, so you got to make sure that you're on top of your game and all that. But I had a ton of fun. It was a really good experience. I made a lot of new best friends from organizations, so it'll be pretty cool following everybody as they make their path through the minor leagues.
You're talking about making really good friends with guys in your path through the minor leagues, and obviously we talked about you being a Kansas City guy. There's another Kansas City guy that was on the roster here in Ben Kudrna. We were talking a little bit. You two had played in high school. You were both committed to LSU, and you guys were going to stay together while you were out there, right?
Yeah, yeah. So we had played against each other growing up since we were super young. We were both on a couple of the best teams in the area. I was playing against them on the championship Sunday and during tournaments. So as we grew up, we played a little bit together with the Royal Scout team and everything. And then um, I committed to LSU, and I had seen on Twitter that he went on a visit and ended up committing. And we were texting with each other. We were super excited. We were like, our plan was to be roommates there at LSU. So then draft day came around, and I saw he got picked in the second round. Texted him, super happy for him. And then next thing you know, I get picked in the third round. And then next thing we know, like we're out in Arizona together. So it was pretty cool, going from being potential roommates at LSU to being together in Arizona playing professional baseball. So
How much happier are you to being on the receiving end of him being on the mound instead of you being in, high rent, high stakes games and having to face him?
definitely happier catching him for sure. I would not like to face him, especially with his development now. I mean, he's turned into a really good pitcher, really good player. It's been fun to watch. All those guys in my draft class. The one thing about us, we're all super hard workers, and that's one of the things that the Royals really care about, and they really try to implement is hard work. Because it's not going to be given to you. So it's been a lot of fun catching Ben throughout the years, seeing him develop. I mean, he's going to be a special player, for this organization, and he already is. So it's been a lot of fun.
And obviously, you guys are two of the, if you go on MLB.com to Pipeline, you're two of the top prospects in the organization. Like we mentioned, we got to talk to Steven Zobak. He's another top guy in the organization. He won the Paul Splittorff Award this year and was invited up to Kauffman and was on the pregame show and received his award in front of the fans that were there towards the end of the year. You were also there that day, and it turned out that you ended up with a pretty special opportunity to be able to hit with some of the big leaguers, right?
Yeah, yeah, that was awesome. Being there for the Futures Night, Javi Vaz, he won the Alex Gordon Heart and Hustle Award, and his family wasn't able to make it, and he asked me, he's like, "Hey, you're in Kansas City. Are you able to come and be with me and all that stuff?" I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely." So I was there. I didn't receive an award. I was just there cheering all my boys on, but that was a lot of fun, being with them, especially Zobak. He had a really good year. Catching him in high A and double A. He worked really hard and he deserved that award for sure. But with that opportunity, yeah, I had hit live against Will Smith and Michael Lorenzen when they were rehabbing. So they had live at bats one day before a game. I think they were playing the Tigers, I believe. Um, and they had asked me if I wanted to come and hit live, and I got a few at bats against those guys. And basically, I got to kind of be around the clubhouse and be a big leaguer for part of the day and get a little bit of a taste of it. And definitely, that was right before the fall league, so it was a little bit of extra motivation, going into the fall league to go out there and try to play well. But all those guys, I tell everybody this, about the Kansas City Royals, especially the big leaguers, like it's not it's not any different. All those guys are super awesome. They welcome you with open arms. There was the same way last year with my first big league spring training. Walking in and Salvi remembering me, saying what's up, all that stuff. Bobby, he's a really awesome guy as well. MJ Melendez is a good buddy of mine. So that's one of those things about the Royals is it's not really, you're never really going to get big league by anybody. That saying, but everybody's super awesome. They welcome you with open arms, and um, when I was able to go in there and work with them, it was the same thing. So definitely a really cool experience, and it's just a little taste of the big leagues, just extra motivation to try to get there.
It's great that you're playing it off as cool and everything like that. But I mean, you grew up in Kansas City, you played your high school baseball there, you still live there in the off season. That had to be special for you to be able to go into the bowels of Kauffman and get ready with the big leaguers and go out there and compete against a few of them. Even though you're talking MJ Melendez and Michael Lorenzen, they were both here at one point on
Yeah,
rehabs this year.
yeah, 100%. Yeah, it was definitely very special. I never really took it in or all the way in until I guess a couple of days after, just looking back at it. But it was definitely really cool. Especially Salvi, like he is Kansas City, when it comes to the Royals. So, and he was one of my favorite players growing up. Watching that 2015 and 2014 World Series teams. Being from Kansas City, it's definitely super special. So, and I always tell people that's just like I said, extra motivation. I'm from here. The Royals are my team growing up. You know, that's just extra motivation to get up there and just try to be where I wanted to be when I was 6, 7 years old. So
We spent most of this time talking about everything that's happened so far, but you're in the throes of the off season. We're only a couple months away from spring training getting started on the big league side. What does your off season look like? Because let's not forget, you started in spring training. Now you've extended through. You went to the fall league, so you've had a longer season than most guys have this year. There's still a lot of guys that are playing abroad right now and all that kind of stuff. But for you, since the fall league has ended, what has the offseason looked like? And then what are you planning to do here heading into spring training to try and get ready?
yeah, so it's pretty standard off season. I got back, like you said, a little bit later. I took about a week off, just did nothing, hung out with the family. Then after that week, back in the gym, lifting and all that stuff. And then last week it was my first week hitting again. So just easing back into that, trying not to take it too fast because I didn't take as much time off. So just easing back into hitting, working on some things that I know I needed to work on, just continuing to get better there. And then same from the catching side, just continuing to work on it every day. I'm going Monday through Friday and sometimes Saturday, and usually taking Sunday off. So weeks are pretty full with workouts and training and everything like that. But mainly just when it comes to getting ready for spring training, just try not to do too much in spring training because or leading up to spring training because it's kind of you don't want to work too much. You don't want to get too tired. You don't want to burn yourself out, and you get there and you're like, man, like I've been going way too hard. So just really finding that balance of really getting that good work in, just making sure it's quality over quantity, and making sure that going into spring training, I'm in the best spot possible, mentally and physically.
With you starting to work on things now, what's one thing on the hitting side and one thing on the catching side that you've identified that you're really pressing on those things to try and make an impact in your game headed into next season?
Yeah, so from the hitting side, the main thing right now is just really making sure that I'm staying in my lower half through my turn and not pulling off too early, getting a little bit too pull happy. Because as I've seen like in my game, like I can hit the ball to the opposite field for power, but sometimes I'll see a pitch come in, it looks really good, and I'll just get a little bit jumpy and try to pull it 800 feet. So just really making sure I'm staying in my lower half and staying solid with my turn right back up the middle and letting the rest take care of itself. And then from the catching side, just mainly on it's probably just as a whole, just receiving is probably a really big one. Receiving you can never really get too much work in at. So receiving, blocking, footwork, just also becoming more agile behind the plate, being able to do different setups in different situations, and being able to throw a runner out from those positions. So just as a whole, when it comes to catching, it's never really one thing. It's kind of a bunch of different things that because it's all important. So just working on those things and just staying true to it. Try not to do too much in my work, like I said earlier, but those are the main things right now that I'm working on.
See that, and I think that's a great lesson too, because those things that you're talking about are things that kids and adults at every level work on. And so for them to see that somebody who's a double A baseball player and has had, the success that you've had and everything to still be going back and doing those things in the off season, trying to get throws off from different positions, trying to be able to receive, in a specific way to maybe get a couple more strikes or at least the strikes are strikes and the balls are balls. And then as you're talking about using your lower half and stuff, I mean, that's got to be stuff you've been working on, for a long time, and it's just you work on something else and you slip back into an old habit or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely the things that I've worked on for a long time, but especially from the hitting side, our hitting department does a really good job, and it may be the same thing that we're working on, but they may have just had like just an easy fastball machine in front of me in years in the past. Now we're going to an angle and it's 97 coming straight on my hands, and I gotta make sure that I can get to that pitch and I can drive it somewhere. So there's levels to it. Starting to get to the levels where it's definitely not super easy, but at the end of the day, it's the same idea, same mechanics, and just it's the same work. It's just a little bit different of a pitch coming in or something like that.
Well, Carter, as we record this, it's just before the holidays, so you wish you and your family a happy holidays and a fun run up into spring training. And we'll either see you here or maybe not. But either way, good luck for those that are watching. How can they follow you on social media? Because you're a pretty active guy.
Yeah, it's just Carter Jensen with two N's at the end on an Instagram, and then Twitter. It's the same thing. So just Carter Jensen with two N's at the end.
Perfect. Well, thanks so much for joining us. As a reminder, like I said, we don't know who the team's going to be this coming season, but you can still go to nwanaturals.com to find out everything from ticket packages to when we do finally get a roster and seeing who's going to be here for the 2025 season. That's going to do it for us. Thanks so much for tuning in.